All
Hey
right.
everybody, welcome to another episode of the show. I'm your host, Natasha Molina, and tonight we are here with Magic Juan, and I'm so excited because you've just released a brand new song, or more like a remake of a fan favorite, a classic, Pasame La Botella, and this time around you put your own twist on it, and we also have Toño Rosario and Shelow Shaq on the track too, which is just amazing. But before we get into talking about that, I do want to talk a little bit about your history in shaping Latin music and Latin culture, because I feel like you are just so iconic. I grew up listening to you in all of my family parties, things like that, as you were formerly part of Proyecto Uno. And I just wanted to talk to you about how you shaped Latin music and culture in general.
Right, absolutely. Well, thank you, Natasha. Thank you for having me. I'm feeling good. You know, what was done musically and for the culture was very organic, very natural. It was just a reflection of Latinos coming up in and around New York and being, being Dominican and being able to mix all the things that were influencing me from, from hip hop to R&B to rock, dance music, merengue, salsa, everything that was going on. And, for me, it was just important to stay authentic, whatever that meant at the moment. And for me, it was mixing everything up, because when I would go out, when I would touch down in the clubs in New York at the time, it wouldn't be just any one music. So they'd run different sets, so and even on the same note, you'd run the different sets of music, and then you'd have different types of people at those parties, because there was no party in New York that was all Puerto Rican, or there was all Dominican, or it was all anything. It was always mixed. So for me, it was natural to kind of just mix it. But I also feel that my generation, coming up, was the first of the young generation that started to really embrace their heritage, as opposed to just trying to assimilate to American culture. You would ask any of us in and around that time, or any time, and still now, like, where are you from? And normally I'll say Dominican first. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, but I was born in New York, Washington Heights, this and that, and my parents and whatever. So for me, it was important just to be authentic and to mix those cultures, and then start to export those cultures out to the world, because what was happening in New York wasn't happening hardly anywhere else. So for me, it was evident that we were doing not just a musical service, but it was a service of, giving them culture of what we were living and what was going on, and what it was like, let's say, for a Latino growing up in New York and in Jersey.
I definitely agree with you. I mean, I was born and raised in New York too, so I can definitely agree and say, yeah, when you go to parties, and just like in general, there's always different kinds of crowds. You got the hip hop, you got the rap, and then you got all the different kinds of Latin music. And to see the way that you and the rest of the group fused all of this together to make your own unique sound, and then just appeal to younger audiences at the time. But I want to say me too, because like I heard the music when I was like really, really little, and it still like plays in my head sometimes, and it still plays at Latin parties. I have to say that too.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And I think that goes a lot to the to being I guess an innovator in sound, because when you listen to these sounds, it's a lot of what I always hear, especially from today's producers, that they were like, yo, but how does your sound still sound like it clicks with what we're doing exactly right now, like even sonically? And and again, that goes back to paying attention to the details, not just in the songwriting, but in the musical production and in the mixing and everything else. So at the end of the day, I think that being ahead sometimes it's it can be a little scary, it could be a little daunting, because there's nobody there to show you the way, and you got to break down these walls at radio or television or wherever that we're never used to people like you or music like yourselves. So for me, it's always been that way, and I've always felt good, like being like the only guy in the room, amongst just other people that may seem all, a little more similar, and I'd kind of stick out, but I like sticking out. It's fun for me. And I like to be a disruptor in music and culture. So for me, it's a labor of love.
I love that. I think you paved the path for so many other artists after you, which is incredibly important because again, we're talking not only about music, we're talking about culture and how the music still stood the test of time. Like again, it's playing still. It's just amazing the fact that you were able to do this. I'm curious to know, were there any specific musical influences behind some of our favorite tracks, like El Tiburon and Latinos, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the if you go back to Tiburon, I mean, you'll hear the R&B influences with the music. You can check out a record called Got to Be Real, Cheryl Lynn, give you that to check out. You have Miami bass from the whole Two Live Crew era. So we threw some of that in there. You got influences from like, Shout, Chuck Berry, and like things from like the 50s and 60s. So for me, it was just always, in those particular songs. In general, like I said, it was probably all the hip hop artists, R&B artists, rock artists of the late 70s and the 80s that influenced me, because that's when I was a baby, kind of growing up, absorbing everything that was happening. So it was always about adding in those things. So Tiburon was definitely that, wanting to make this real gumbo of music. And that's why there's so many hooks on the song, and there's so many style and drum pattern changes and things like that. And Latinos the first thing I wanted Latinos to be was nothing like El Tiburon. So I didn't make it merengue. I made it, I got with a different producer, a guy by the name of Eric Murillo, who recently passed, very big house producer, DJ from Reel to Reel fame. I like to move it. And with him, what I wanted to do was kind of what we went back to talking about going to clubs in New York. So they would be like, whatever, mi gente de Colombia, hey, mi gente de wherever, yeah, where my Puerto Ricans at, Dominicanos. And I'm like, that's cool, but why can't we all have one thing, one anthem for all of us? So it really came from that, from not having that and wanting that. So, and being able to have one thing that can actually sew it all together, and it worked. So it was a beautiful thing.
I love that so much because as you say that, I'm thinking about the few songs I've heard growing up where it's like, wow, my country's left out. No, I can't sing along and everything. So yeah, I definitely love that you were able to do that. And then knowing that was the intention behind the song as well. Like I can appreciate it so much more now because I mean, we needed that and we still need that. So I love that.
Yes, absolutely. I tried to make sure no country was left out, as you
Yay, I felt included.
Yeah. We included them all, made it all rhyme, so it was definitely a moment in music.
As always, killing it. And now in the recent years, you've released so many albums under your own belt. I believe about 8. So
right, I have 8 albums. I have four as the group, and then this is going to be my 4th now as a soloist artist. And it's been, I guess I could have released a whole bunch of more albums. It's just that I do when I feel, and now I feel like I have that, I have that itch right now. So we're getting to it. We're getting to the music, getting to something new, and refreshing for myself and hopefully for all the people.
I love that. So obviously, as years go on, we all continue learning. I feel like it's always a learning experience, especially in music. Your sound continues adapting and evolving. So I'm curious to know, how do you feel your sound has evolved over time?
Well, I think that it's basically kind of evolved with the time. I mean, when things start to change, I start to change with them. The only difference is, again, I try to not dive into an exact sound. What I do like to do is take pieces of that sound and then incorporate it into something else that feels more me. So, and then there's some things that, that you'll leave alone entirely. But for example, like when I did on my second album, I did the first time I ever did a cover, which was Mil Horas. And, you know, on that, it was like the drums were reggaeton, the percussion was like merengue, slow. And then musically, I was using like a bachata guitar. So that's like me, that's my showing to what's happening in reggaeton, what I saw growing in bachata, but I wasn't going to turn into a bachata singer. I wasn't going to, and that's what I mean. So for me, you know, I grow with it, but it becomes a part of what I do. I try to not jump into anybody else's lane or jump into some other lane that doesn't feel natural to me.
So now let's get into talking a little bit about this new song, Pasame La Botella, which is an incredible remake of the 2005 classic. Mm-hmm. And again, let's mention Toño Rosario is on the track, Shelow Shaq is on the track, and you put on your own little twist and your unique sound. Let's talk about how this came to life.
Absolutely. It was a song I heard in all the parties throughout the years, touring different places. And you know, it amazed me how the staying power and the energy of the song, it was, you know, it reminded me of almost like the way El Tiburon was and is. And, but at the end of the day, I just, you know, again, I felt that it was ready to be brought to the new generation. I felt that we could give it a whole new twist, a whole new face. So, you know, we grabbed the track, you know, sped up the tempo, changed the beats up, you know, and just used the hooks, you know, the choruses, and then constructed something completely new from there. So that's how we started doing it, you know, and that was it. We rebranded it, you know, Pasame La Botella. And then from there, I also said, okay, not just do I want to do it like that, let's mix it up with the features. So you know, Shelow Shaq, who's one of the leaders in all of the urban music coming out of Dominican Republic. And then you have Toño Rosario, who's like a legend in merengue and fashion and all of that. So it was, I like making these gumbos that just seem a little like they seem out of place in the right place.
Yeah, we can tell you love mixing it up, and we love to hear it. So it's so amazing to now, you know, have that nostalgia come to us.
For me, it was important to bring it, you know, to bring different generations and genres, you know, being Toño and then Shelow and then myself, we kind of all represent something different, but, you know, but we mesh together real well on the track. So for me, it's always fun doing things that seem like they shouldn't be together and make it work. So, yeah.
That's always the best music, I think, in my opinion. Like, it's the unexpectedness that comes together. And if it sounds great, it's just like, it's even better, like, honestly. So how has the support been from the new song? Because it's been out for about a week, and I know that the views are just like skyrocketing every day. It keeps on going up and up.
No, we feel good. We feel really great about it. It's taken off on social media. It's taken off at radio really strong in Latin America, all over the world. DJs, you know, sending videos and playing it, you know, from Chile to Australia, all over. And, you know, I feel really good about it because, you know, it was something that we set out to do. It wasn't an idea that I came up with yesterday. It took a lot of time to get this song done because, you know, you're dealing with record labels and writers and publishers and artists and managers and all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, it was really worth it. I feel really good. You know, the way it's been able to ring off has been is great. And, you know, we expect it to just keep going, and we're just going to stay behind it and get ready for some new music, you know, because these days you can't sit on a song for 6 months, you know, it may last 6 years or 60 years, but you gotta keep it moving these days. So,
yeah,
you know,
you gotta follow it up.
Expect new music real soon. Yeah.
Okay, well, what can we expect? Can you tell us a little bit more? Is there a new album, new collabs coming out? What do we have to be on the lookout for?
Definitely, you're gonna have to be on the lookout for it. But yes, I'm working on a new album. I haven't put out an album since like 2009. So it was like 12 years. So, you know, I've had a couple of singles, but mostly it's just been touring. And but now we're coming with it. So we're coming with it. It's gonna be there's definitely features. You know, you got, you know, some legacy artists, some of these new artists, you know, different places, Panama, Puerto Rico, DR, Colombia. So you know, it's gonna be a lot of different collaborations and a lot of different surprises and songs that are definitely gonna, you know, make your ears perk up and say, that's magic. Yeah, that's magic. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, that's magic.
Yeah, that's
I'm
him.
so excited and
It's still
eager
him.
to hear it,
Yeah.
honestly. And now, as you mentioned, all the different countries that's going to be involved, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so excited to hear the way that all these different sounds I know are going to come together. And I'm just so excited for the album. As you said, you know, the last album you released was years ago. So this is huge for fans and for you as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great time. It's a great time right now. So I feel good. You know, we're coming out of you know, we're coming out of a very dark period, and I'm just trying to bring some light to it right now, musically and just spiritually, culturally, everything that we're doing.
I love that. That's what we need right now. More light and positivity and music in the world.
That's right. That's right. And that's what we're on right now. So, you know, be on the lookout for it, and you'll hear some things. I'm sure we'll be talking again.
Great. Well,
Oh.
Magic, before you do go, I do want to dive in a little bit because you're a man that does it all and you are an entrepreneur. And I just think that that's amazing. And I kind of want to shed some light about that. So if you want to talk a little bit about your company, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have several things that I do, but right now, big focus on Omerta Music Group, which is the new entertainment company. We have some artists that are signed. Actually, the original guy who did Pasame La Botella from Match and Daddy, we have him, Martin Machorre. That's his name, Martin Machorre. He's super talented guy, super talented pen. His album is going to be coming out soon too, El Chore. We have several other artists, Don Fulano, that used to be in Fulanito, some new artists. We're doing concerts. We have our first music festival this 31st of October, which is a urban music festival in Panama. And that's basically all the like all the new hot cats that are like doing their thing. We're gonna put them all on stage together and get that moving. So sorry about that.
That's how I feel when my phone goes off.
Absolutely. So yeah, so we have that. We have the festival. We're going to be doing a lot of different things. We have some content plays that we're going to be doing. So we're working on a bunch of things. So definitely, it's the we're just starting. We're just getting started. You know, we started at the beginning of this year. So but we have a lot of plans for going into going into 2022. So just be on the lookout. Again, Omerta Music, we're doing it. So that's what's coming.
There's so much coming up. We're so excited. Magic Juan, you are literally magic. And everything I'm hearing is like literally magic to my ears. I'm excited for new music. I'm excited to hear some of the artists signed to your label and to see what else is coming up for you, because I know whatever you do is going to be great. So I want to thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. You already know it's been more than a pleasure. Hopefully we'll do this again, maybe one day in person.
I hope so, for sure.
Absolutely. So, but besides that, just be on the lookout. We're gonna be putting it down.